the home of the Leafs. Now, I know the Toronto Raptors play up there. There's this lonely little divisional winner banner up there from, like, 1998? Maybe 2000. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter to me. But there's this divisional winner for the Raptors. All these Leaf banners. And you got Sil Apps up there, and Matt Sundin, and Wendell Clark, and Doug Gilmour, and Bon Jovi. Really? Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi? Yes, I'm actually talking about the singer. The Leafs are going to raise a singer. Oh, because he sold a whole bunch of tickets for them, and he's done some great things for the building. Okay, let's talk about this building. This building is the Leafs' home. They are the most prestigious team in hockey next to the Montreal Canadiens. They've won 12 Stanley Cups, 13 if you count the St. Pats. The Maple Leafs, and we're going to raise Bon Jovi's face up into the banners. Come on, this is just stupid. If Leafs fans don't do something to say, stop this, this is just stupid. How are we going to let a singer infect what we have up here with this great hockey history? And now, hopefully, it'll at least be off in the corner somewhere, and we won't have to see it every time they pan to the ceiling to see the flags, and we'll see, oh, okay, here's Matt Sundin and Bon frickin' Jovi. I wouldn't hate one bit if somebody climbed up there and just ripped it down once. I think it's November 1st is when it's going up, or November 8th, something. I've basically blocked the date out of my mind because as soon as that banner raising starts, I'm turning off the TV. I'll still watch the game. I'm still going to watch the game, but I'm turning off the TV as that banner gets raised up to the rafters. And I don't know if Living on a Prayer is going to be rocking as it rolls up there, but I can tell you one thing. I will not be watching. The Leafs take on the Edmonton Oilers on Tuesday. Today, while we're recording this podcast, is like Tuesday at midnight or so. But Bon Jovi to the Oilers. It's exactly how we want to go. We're going to preview this game against the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers have not been great this year. We all know that. They've been a team that has left something to be desired. It's almost like every single year the Edmonton Oilers are going to be this great team. And what do you know? They're 3-8-2 after 13 games. And a goal differential of minus 14. They have just not been good. But they did manage to push the Leafs to a 6-5 overtime loss. Or the Leafs won in overtime. But, I mean, if it weren't for that Joffrey Lupul goal with a minute left in the game, the Leafs wouldn't have won at all. They wouldn't have even had a shot. They wouldn't have gotten a point. So there's something that I want to focus on here as we preview the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Now, I'm looking at a guy like Yakupov, who Yakupov a little while ago, he was benched in favor of just the fact that, hey, you're not playing well enough. We don't like the way you're playing defensively, yada, yada. We're going to sit you. You need motivation. Dallas Aikens just made him sit. And, I mean, it sort of worked, I guess. He scored last night against the LA Kings. Last night, meaning Sunday night. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is, I mean, essentially him and Taylor Hall, these guys are the face of the team. I get that. He's got 4 goals and 6 assists in 13 games. A little less than that. I know he was hurt. But he's a minus freaking 8. A minus 8, and you're not going to bench him. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying right now. You're saying, well, I mean, he's a minus 8, but he's on a really bad team, right? He's just not on a good team. So it's not really fair to expect him to, like, you know, do well defensively because the rest of his team is horrible. So, I mean, he's just out trying to score goals because, well, what else is he supposed to do? Now let's talk about Jordan Eberle. 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points also. Mark Arcabello. He's 0 goals, but he has 10 assists. Guess what? Eberle's a +1 and Arcabello's a +3. But Nugent-Hopkins is a -8. Most of the team is a minus. And you have Justin Schultz is a -8. Hemsky's a -9. Who Hemsky, I mean, the guy's a veteran. He shouldn't be dropping the ball so much defensively, but he is. Taylor Hall's a -6. This team is just minuses all over the place. Now, Yakupov's a -6. But can you blame Yakupov for playing the way that he did? Well, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Taylor Hall don't play defense either. Neither of those guys play a style that is sustainable in the NHL. These guys are going to be minus players for as long as they don't care to play defense. And you can only run and gun for so long. And you had the comments from Lars Eller on Montreal. He said that essentially he said, well, playing the Oilers is like playing a junior team because they're so inconsistent and they just want to run and gun and they just want to do their thing. And the Oilers use that as motivation. And good on them. Good on them. I mean, if a guy's going to talk publicly like that, that's just stupid. I mean, you don't go and tell an NHL team, to the media, say, yeah, they're like a junior team. Okay, bad plan. You just want to piss everybody off, or are you trying to lose? And the Montreal Canadiens did lose. The Oilers used it as ammunition. Dallas Eakins pretty much said, we might as well have not played that game because we weren't going to lose it. We knew it. Lars Eller, thank you for the ammunition. Have a nice day, and have a nice loss in the column. Thank you for our third win of the season. But was Lars Eller really that far off? The Oilers cannot consistently play defense at all. They are a running gun team, and no matter how much they want to say no, we're hankering down more on defense, whatever. The Oilers don't play defense, and there's nobody on their team aside from poor Andrew Ference. I mean, what's this guy have to be thinking? I mean, Andrew Ference is a -1, so he hasn't necessarily been a guy who's been out there a whole lot for all these goals against. He's actually been pretty good this year. And as the captain, it's like, man, they don't have the players that want to play this style. And so how frustrating must it be for Andrew Ference down there in Edmonton? It's funny, but how much do the Oilers remind you of the Leafs of, say, 2-3 years ago? The Leafs that could score, they like seemingly on some nights they could score a ton of goals, but defensively they were just brutal. And it was like they tried to play this run and gun. It was back when Ron Wilson was the coach, and they would lose 5-4 or 6-5, and it was just so frustrating to watch. So I think as Leafs fans, we totally get what the Oilers are going through. Seeing all this talent on your team offensively and just really not being able to find yourself. Hopefully Dallas Eakins can figure it out, but hopefully it's not against the Leafs. Anyways, so the Leafs, they have this task. Well, first off, they're going to have to decide Bernier or Reimer. I think that Reimer should start. Bernier may just start because Randy Carlyle doesn't want to leave him sitting for a week, but I digress. Not sure who's going to start yet. As of the time of this podcast, we do not know who's going to be starting. For Edmonton, though, Richard Bachman, he made 47 of 48 saves Sunday night against the Kings, and he looked darn good doing it. Darn good doing it. Richard Bachman in what ended up actually being a loss, but nevertheless, he played very well. It was a shootout loss. So if Richard Bachman comes in against the Leafs are not a team that's going to put 48 shots on you. Now, and that makes me think, okay, well, did the Oilers play Devin Dubnyk? And now Dubnyk got rolled last time the Leafs played them. Had some rough goals. Just some goals that an NHL caliber goaltender shouldn't be giving up. Does Richard Bachman get another start? And personally, I think that he should. But as of this time of the podcast, it hasn't been confirmed. But whoever's in net, the Leafs, not only do they need to win this game. Now, this is the first game of a Western Coast road trip, and so it's going to get tiring as they go along. This is a big game. They need to win it. The Oilers are horrible, and the Leafs can take advantage of it. If they can play the way that they played at Pittsburgh, and now I know that it's a lot easier to get your game up for Pittsburgh than it is for the bottom team in the Western Conference. I don't care. If the Leafs play some defense, they will beat this Edmonton Oilers team. The Oilers, they'll do some to score on you, but if the Leafs can shut down Taylor Hall's not even going to be playing. The Leafs can shut down Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Yakupov the way they shut down Crosby and Malkin. They should win this game 4-5-0. I think, honestly, I think that they could shut out the Oilers, maybe allow a goal. But the way that the Oilers play, the Leafs don't need 48 shots on goal. And I think that when you're a goaltender and you start getting so many shots on you, man, you get a nice feel for that puck. And by the end of that game, Richard Bachman knew that puck like it was his lady friend. Like, that puck had been shot at him 48 times. Are you kidding me? The Leafs, now, judge them as you may. You can say, oh, they don't shoot enough, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? They score like 30% of their shot. Okay, that would be insane. 30 shots on goal would be 10 goals. They score at the highest clip out of any team in the NHL. And some of the positive to me comes from the goaltender doesn't get a chance to handle the puck nearly as much. And I know that that's almost a spinning, oh, well, yep, there's one way to spin not getting enough shots. The goalie doesn't get to get in the game. But it's true. You don't want the other goaltender to have 55 shots on him and be making saves like crazy, especially early on. Man, if that goalie has made 15 to 18 saves in the first period and hasn't allowed a goal, my goodness, that goalie's feeling real good about himself. I think that the fact that the Leafs don't shoot as much will be a key factor in beating the Oilers, especially if Richard Bachman's in net. I know that seems convoluted, but watch the game and watch as the Leafs don't test them nearly as much but score more goals. Now, the one thing is that the Leafs have been playing a lot better defensively than they were earlier in the year. When we saw them against the 6-5 game against the Oilers, oh my goodness, all the talk about trading away Jake Gardiner, which has basically faded away as the Leafs have continued to win and turn over the puck less. But holy smokes, were they turning over the puck? It seemed like every shift there was a pass up the middle of the neutral zone, and it was getting intercepted, being taken in for an odd man rush. It was brutal. But the Leafs have been playing much better responsibly. Really, since the game against Carolina where they blew the 2-0 lead in the third period and ended up losing 3-2 before even getting into overtime, since that game, the Leafs have been much more responsible. Now, okay, you have the 5-2 loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, but we're just going to toss it out the window. That game was weird. But the game that they had against the Penguins, that's the game you look at, and you see the potential. You see what this team can be. And now I think if we can see them do this against the bad teams in the league, against the Edmonton Oilers, then there's some hope. You got to win the games that you should win. It's one thing to win the games that you shouldn't. There's lower expectations, like against the Penguins. But these games against the Oilers, these are points you can't give away. And I don't believe the Leafs will. I think that the Leafs go into Edmonton and they win tomorrow night. I hope that you've enjoyed the first episode of Leafs Cast. I certainly have. I love talking Leafs. If you have questions or you have any comments that you want to give towards the show about the Leafs, I'd love to read them on the next podcast. The next one will be coming post-game Edmonton Oilers game, and we'll maybe go back through some of my predictions and see how I did. Would love to get some predictions from you before the game. But until then, this has been Mark Paul for Leafs Cast. Looking forward to episode number 2 coming at you soon, Tuesday night. See ya.